Gurave Gaudichandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tat Bhaktaya Namo Namah. So, good evening to all of you. Welcome. Thanks so much for your presence coming here today. Thank you so much, team, all the family, for welcoming us here. So this meeting was not planned, actually. We had two gatherings a few days ago, and that was supposed to be it. But somehow there was some inspiration to meet one more time at least. So I'm happy that we were able to make it and meeting some of you for the first time as well. I've been sharing the last week a few thoughts regarding a book that was recently published called Evolution in Divine Love. I was thinking I was sharing a few thoughts about it one more time, and then inviting if you have any questions on any topic you may like to explore together. And that's a topic of my book as well, questions, right? Many times we want answers, but we don't do that well with questions. we only think that questions are supposed to be answered, and problems are things that need to be solved. So we enter into solving problem mentality. Everything is a problem to be solved. Instead of thinking, I don't know, oh, there's a problem that I need to solve, instead of, oh, maybe that problem's coming to solve me, right? Maybe I'm the problem to be solved. What I'm seeing as a problem outside of me is a potential solution to the problem that I still am in some way, right? Yeah, we are problematic creatures. Let's be honest. It's okay. let's normalize that, not as something traumatic, but something that is part of life. And so questions is the same, right? I personally had my time where I was addicted to answers, and to receive answers and to give answers. You know, sometimes at one point people start to see you, especially those of us who wear this cloth and travel the world, opening their mouths and saying too many words. And people expect, oh, you become like an answering machine, basically, right? Like you're there to answer all my questions. And you at some point may end up buying into that character. Okay, I'm supposed to have answers to every question. And that can be such a huge burden, such a huge performance also, right? I mean, I will try to say something, but it's not just an answering machine pattern, right? Sometimes, hopefully, some of my most honest answers may be, I don't know. Hopefully, I'm okay with that, and hopefully, you are okay with that. Because sometimes we want certainty to everything. Closure. This is the question. What is the answer? What if we keep the question open? That's uncomfortable. That's unsettling. Give me the answer, Swami. You were not supposed to come to Ireland for that. No. Many times we need to live with the question. Live enough with the question till they flourish as the answer. Many times our most necessary answers come by spending enough time with our questions, not to try to solve the questions as soon as possible. Because there are questions that cannot be solved as soon as possible, and there are questions that cannot be solved. Some questions are there to remain with us forever. A question like, who am I? Oops. How many times you've asked that question? How many times you continue to ask that question? How many times the answer to that question served us at some time, and at other time they are outdated, obsolete. And they helped us in some part of the journey, but now I need to answer to the same question in the new way, and in a new way, and in a new way. that's why my last book is, in one sense, all about that, all about being okay with remaining open to the same questions forever, no? And being willing to discover new answers and new answers and new answers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who am I? Who is God? What is love? What is the purpose of life? Well, no, don't look for very short official answers to that. So, okay, I have the answer. Next question. Mm-hmm. We can spend eternity with each one of those questions, right? And we'll have eternity to continue existing with those questions in a healthy way. Even when you become an enlightened soul, you can continue to ask a question and find new, deeper, enlightened answers to that question. It's not like someone became enlightened. Who am I that doesn't disappear from the list, the question list? No, still. Now the question could be, who is the one who entering the doormat? I'm curious now myself. Maheshwar, welcome. We missed you on the island. Long story. Okay, we'll be sharing that. So, so in our tradition, questions occupy a very important place. In one sense, our life can be summarized as a long list of questions and the search for the answer to those questions. To make a play of words in English, every question set us on a quest. No particular question set us on a quest, on a journey to do something about that question, answer that question. And when we think we have answered that question, then we are ready to probably ask the same question again from a new place, from a deeper place. And learn again, be willing to answer again. We find that in the Bhagavatam, we find that in the Bhagavad Gita, in so many of our most important scriptures, in every tradition actually. Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita will tell Krishna, I'm here in this conversation, I can hear it again and again, it's always new, it's always fresh, I'm never tired of hearing this over and over again, it's ever fresh. No? Your answers, Krishna, are ever fresh, and my questions to your answers are ever fresh somehow. Because they all have to do with the infinite. So when we are talking about the infinite stuff, there's no end, there's no beginning. So we can remain there forever. So I'm saying all this just to also all of us be totally fine with having questions, because sometimes we even think having questions is a problem, right? I should not be, if I have a question that shows that I do not know everything, like who knows everything, right? If I ask some question, means I have doubts. What's the problem with doubts? Doubts can nourish your faith. Real doubts are there to nourish, to nuance our faith, not to cancel it. Having questions may show that I'm not understanding something. Great. No? Again, we don't want to reach a place of, at least not me. Sorry if I say we, you decide for yourself. I talk for myself. I don't want to reach a place where I conclude I've understood everything. I have no more questions. It's kind of a dead end. Sounds like terrifying and boring for me. So I would say the closer we get to the infinite, the more questions we will have. But questions not in terms of doubting the infinite, but questions in terms of what's that infinite? How can I love that better? No? Ultimately, it all will boil down to that question, but endless questions inside that question. How can I serve? No? That's the word kinkara in Sanskrit. Kinkara means servant. And kim kara means kim what, kara do. Kinkara means what to do. What can I do? That's the only question a servant has. But inside that question, there are endless questions about how to serve, how to love, how to honor matchless gifts that are knocking on our door at every moment, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have to be okay having questions. And if you don't have questions, also you can be okay with that, just in case. That there's nobody to feel pressure to have questions or pressure not to have questions. But I'm saying that because sometimes, unfortunately, questions have not been normalized, and sometimes we unconsciously may enter into a pattern that, okay, I don't know everything, but I have to pretend that I know everything. I have tons of questions, but I have to pretend that I don't have questions. So to give a very paka impression of my strong faith, right? A strong faith doesn't mean I have no questions. Actually, in one sense, that was a strong faith means I'm willing to ask the hard questions, and I'm willing to even question my own beliefs. Oops, sorry. Not my own beliefs to the point is this real, but to question the way I'm believing, the way I'm thinking about what I know is real. I'm not inviting here you to doubt about Krishna's existence or something like that, but how I'm thinking of that, how I'm addressing that reality may have been great, but we can always question that to refine that. In that sense, question, right? Because we can also easily fall into a place of complacency. Yeah, I have an experience of God, I have some faith, I'm initiated, I have this name, I have the biggest Kantimala in the community, the biggest Sika, biggest Tilak, the biggest something. And that gives some sense of certainty, right? I'm settled. Nobody can tell me anything. I'm Maharaj, after all. No, we have to be willing to question in a healthy way. Is this the best version of myself? I can have more integrity, more honesty, more depth, more sincerity. What can I do today to get closer to a new version of me? A little bit, 1 millimeter closer to a better version of me today. Tomorrow we'll talk about the next millimeter, so to say. But how can we keep our journey evolving? And many times it's through questions and answers and questions and answers. As I like to say, instead of Q&A, questions and answers, Q&E, quest and exploration. We are all exploring something endless. Vedanta Sutras, we say, I think the other day, I think so. I give a few lectures in between, so I don't recall if I say that with you, if it was online lecture. Vedanta Sutra says a tato Brahma Jignasa, right? Now human form of life, human consciousness is ready to Brahma Jignasa, to explore Brahman. Brahman in Sanskrit means that which grows and makes others grow. That's the actual meaning of Brahman from the Sanskrit Brahm. That which we were using, that was in your house. Yeah. We went to the brimmingness side. God is, you say this saying in English, what it is filled to the brim, up to the brim. How is the expression? Up to the brim. So God is so much up to the brim that is overflowing, and that's what we call Brahman. Brahman is brimming, so to say, with love, with ecstasy. The human form of life is meant to explore the brimmingness of the absolute, the brimmingness of reality. Everything is full of purpose, full of meaning, full of content. So the exploration can take us to have questions in any direction. And there are no stupid questions. As long as they are sincere, honest questions, that's the most important thing. The question can be, who am I, again, or something different from that, but questions are very welcome. As we say the other day in the Srimad Bhagavatam, every time Parikshit Maharaj has a question, Sukadev Goswami praises the question and the questioner before answering. So it's a crucial place. Questions can be such great triggers to explore something that we never thought about before that question. And the sincerity that comes with the question can create a whole new, again, level of exploration. So all that to say, you're invited to ask any questions that you may have. Tim is ready. Immediately, he raised his hand. Feels he has 108 questions minimum. But let's begin with the first one.
There's the term guru, sadhu, and shastra.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, the difference between guru and sadhu, because one thing is that almost anyone I can think of, you mentioned in your book, like, you've had some guru learning experiences with your own guru and so on. Unless someone like is like a self-realized soul, like Srila Prabhupada or Srila Bhaktisiddhanta or something, who can you trust out there? Because at some point, gurus, they're a Swami and they get a girlfriend later on, or they do something else like that or something. So, or sometimes gurus, they recommend all the disciples get a injection that's recommended by pharmaceutical companies, and you kind of, why did he do that? So why who can you trust? Like, what's the difference between the? That's kind of two questions.
There are like 108 questions.
Just a controversial.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Like someone like Srila Prabhupada, so you can trust, but it's almost like everyone else. Like, how can you trust them, really, kind of thing. So, or Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you can trust, but almost everyone else, you kind of like, how can you throw yourself into that if you're not really sure?
Yeah, welcome. Someone can use the chair. If not, it seems it's just like
If it's art, it's sculpture.
okay. If that's the purpose, it's fine. I'm not for the uninvited guest.
Yeah.
No, if it's having some other purpose other than being a chair, it's totally fine. I've not yet discovered it. It's fine.
We're exploring a question, who can use the chair?
The chair question.
We could all ask Bhaktivinoda Thakur to be present.
Mhm.
It's sort of shamanic.
So, Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. Yeah, somehow that's kind of a triad that we hear always, this triple mentioning. Shastra, scripture, Guru, the teacher, and Sadhu. Of course, again, these are words that require explanation, each one of them. Right? Because many times Guru, we tend to think only of one person, as we explained the other day. Who is your Guru? And you are supposed to say one name. But that in itself is a wrongly formulated question, right? Because why to conceive Guru in singular? When our tradition speaks about the plurality of Guru. Srimad Bhattan says, Nahi kasmat Guru ginam sustiram syat supushkalam brahmeta dvitiyam bhaigyate bahudareshivi. The absolute is so vast that you cannot get full knowledge from only one guru. That's what the Bhagavatam says. And this is not an insult to anyone. It's just speaking about if you have one real good guru, you will end up having many gurus, because a real guru will point that gurus are everywhere. Guru is everything, ultimately. So that one thing. And sadhu, of course, as I think maybe we talked the other day, because sometimes I say the word sadhu, and for many of us, sadhu means like, okay, hyper saintly, ultimately all totally enlightened person. And that's a sadhu, yes. But also a sadhu can be someone who is very honest and sincere, but still misbehaves in certain ways. Apichet suduracharo bhajante mamananyabha sadhu reva samantabhyasamyabhyavyasito. So Krishna is saying, you may not yet be of very good behavior. You may still have your ups and downs, but you may be really honest and sincere about where you want to be. In my eyes, you are already a sadhu in that case. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to expand a little bit the concepts, because if not, we think, okay, guru is one person and sadhu is another person. and we tend to think in singular, and Shastra is just this book, and also Shastra is revealed wisdom, revealed knowledge, and it's not limited to one book. Actually, the book is not a book. Originally, the book was revealed sound. It was not printed in pages. It's some living sound that is passed, and it's not limited to. Because when we have a book, and I have nothing against books, I love books, I write books, but it gives the idea of limitation, right? Okay, here's the book. No, here's the Bhagavad Gita. Here's the Bhagavatam. Yes and no. Yes, but the Bhagavatam is beyond what we can touch and see. It's beyond the pages. It's beyond the books of the Goswamis, for example. Those are elaborations on the Bhagavatam. Gopal Shampoo of Jiva Goswami. That's the Bhagavatam, upgraded, so to say. It's more of this of the Bhagavatam, no? More of Krishna Lila, more of Krishna's life. It's not like only the verses of the Bhagavatam are Krishna Lila. There are so many other shastras that are elaborations on them. So I'm giving all this just so we don't have like a very like hyper localized idea of what Guru Shastra said. Going to your main question, which I felt it was the main question, how to ascertain who is Guru or whom we can trust, as you say. Many things come to my mind. Of course, one thing that Sanatana Goswami says, which I think it still remains up to date, though it may take a different form. He says, before establishing a relationship with the Guru or with a disciple, if you're a Guru, you have to live together for 1 year. Implying, I mean, you can know me now for 10 minutes. I can know you for 1 hour. We can have our ideas about each other, but let's go and live together for 1 year. Tell me if you have been able to live with someone for 1 year, if after knowing that person for the 10 minutes, 1 hour, if after 1 year something changed, or it's like, oh no, it was exactly the same person I met after 1 hour. Generally not. Some other things come. I'm not saying bad things, just you get to know the person. No? No. We pass beyond the honeymoon period, and you actually get to know the person, and then you actually get to decide, do I want to marry this person? No? One sense, Guru disciple is a marriage. No? You are choosing each other. It's a mutual choice. No? It's not like only one chooses. Because sometimes we think, oh, the disciple chooses who is my Guru, and then the Guru has no option. No, it's mutual choice. And there should be some, again, I know that in nowadays time, many times we may not be able to go and live with the Guru for 1 year, but you have to apply that same principle. How much you get to know someone living together in 1 year? Okay, how much will that take to know my Guru in the same way without living with the person? It may take a little bit more than 1 year, and you can wait, no problem. Srila Prabhupada met his Guru Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he received initiation 10 years more after the first meeting. Just to give a reference, because sometimes the devotees will be like, oh, you're in the temple 5 months and 25 days. We'll give you 5 more days to decide who is your Guru, because after 6 months you are supposed to swaha, jump into the fire. Sometimes in our minds we create this type of standards, like after some time this has to happen, but every relationship has its own pace and rhythm, and every soul comes from their own journey. Some may be initiated before that, some may be initiated after that. Prabhupada met his Guru. Again, we are talking about here, as you say, great personalities, both Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Still, it took 10 years. Because one could say, oh, why they did not get initiated immediately? The two of them were really high. They were getting to know each other. It takes time. So I'm saying this in the sense, because the question is, okay, how do I get to know, to trust someone? Well, you need to get to know the person first. It cannot be like, okay, this is a Guru coming to Ireland. you should be initiated by that person. And you're like, I don't know who that person is. How can I accept that? No? I need to naturally trust the person. He may be a great person, but if there is no sense of relationship, probably it may not work in time. I may, and I know cases of devotees that, and I'm not criticizing anyone, just the dynamics of life, sometimes social pressure, wanting to fit in the group, in the circle. Okay, I'm the only one who is not initiated, so okay, I'll take the chance and receive my name and be in the club. But maybe you didn't know who was the person, and no, you never talked to the person. You talk 5 minutes, you saw that person 15 years after the second time, and you feel there's no sense of relationship. I need some, I don't know. You have a crisis eventually, and sometimes that has to happen. I'm not saying all crises are avoidable. Many crises are really necessary. But if we can prevent some crises, we should do the best we can. So in this case, I will say, yeah, we need to take time to get to know the person, basically. To get to know, again, and this doesn't mean just proving if they are bona fide or not. Someone can be very pure devotee, but for whatever reason, my heart does not resonate with that person in terms of mood, nature, whatever. Sometimes there may be some relative issues at hand also. Like, for example, Sanatana Goswami says also in Mahari Bhakti Vilas, where he says this thing that live together for a year, like get to know each other. He will say, if you, again, talking 500 years ago in India, with some sensibilities about Varnashram Dharma from that time, he will say, if you are born as a Shudra, you ideally should have a Shudra guru. So the point with this is, try to get the essence of that advice is, maybe, or if you're, and then he will say, if you're born as a Brahmana, get a Brahmin guru. Like implying, despite the inner purity, you may need some connection with the person in terms of language and nature and similar way of thinking. That may help you to have relatability, like to really feel, oh yeah, that person speaks to me. No? You follow my point? Because sometimes, I've seen that also. Sometimes devotees get initiated with someone who is a really high, pure caliber devotee, really high. And in one sense, that person is too high for them, so to say. Too high in the sense they are not able like to relate to that, to the platform where their guru is. And for some reason, the guru is not coming down so much, so to say. And again, it's nobody against anyone, it's just what it is. And in some other cases, some devotees will take as guru someone who may not be, I'm giving just a hypothetical scenario, not be so advanced, but maybe more relatable. And it still is advanced and it still is sincere, may not be just like the topmost devotee. And at the end of the day, of course, let's be honest, how can we know who is the topmost devotee? Many times when we say such and such is the topmost devotee, it's mostly because everyone else is saying the same thing. It's not that we have the ultimate vision to ask her to scan, okay, from 1 to 10. Many times it's more like public opinion. So, and I'm saying that because also we shouldn't be carried by public opinion ideally. Because sometimes that happens. Oh, everyone is initiated by this person and you should be initiated by our guru as well. And many times I just get carried by the wave and I do not even know the person. So it's good that we also have our own criteria, our own experience, do not rush, take our time to take vows that we want to hopefully maintain during our lives. I remember when I I don't want to sound like I'm putting myself as an example. I just go into my own life reference point. Can only talk about my own life. I was 21, and my first guru at that time, he offered me sannyas. So you know what sannyas is? It's a lifelong vow of monasticism, celibacy. So I was receiving that offer at 21. No, probably it's not the best time in your life to decide. I will be a celibate forever, right? Hormones are intense at that time, right? All the system is like vibrating in many directions. So to make such vows, so somehow I received that that suggestion. It was not like, of course, you have to, but just, what do you think about this? And to be honest, I feel it suits me. But at the same time, I was 21, and I don't want to. You young guys, you are less than 21, 20, whatever. I want to downplay the age you are living. Every age is unique, but I hope you understand that if you are 20, probably when you are 25, when you are 30, 35, you may be thinking differently about some things. Of course, you cannot, that doesn't mean to cancel what you are thinking now. It's just that some things you know you will change, and it's part of life. That's beautiful. I mean, I see myself when I was your age. I sound like an old person now. I'm just 44. I'm not that old. But I was 19, 18, 20, whatever you are. And one changes. I mean, it was beautiful, but one changed. So I had that intuition. Okay, I'm 21. I'm receiving this invitation. I think I have to wait some time. Though I feel I'm fine with that. And I remember talking to a friend of mine who was a sannyasi at that time. And he was fine. I told him, I received this invitation for sannyasi in 21. And he said, why don't you think about that idea for 1 decade? That was an interesting proposal, right? But generally, people would say, think about it for a few months, for a few days. He said, why do you think about it for 10 years? That's a good, and it came. I really felt like, yeah, that's great. It makes total, I mean, it sounds absurd maybe for other people thinking about something for a decade. But for me, it was like, it makes total sense. Thank you. So I thought about it for 10 years. And then I took the same vow that was offered to me when I was 21, when I was almost 10 years after. And still here I am. But my point with all this is sometimes we need to take some time to think about things or to get to know about someone, depending which case, no? So, of course, the scripture gives symptoms of a genuine teacher, someone who knows the scriptures, who has knowledge in theory, who can address our questions, who has realization of the theory, not only information, but transformation. Because we can just get information, and then get all stuck from the neck up. But it's coming down and it's happening, something happening going on here. And again, to know that, you have to know, to see a person, to know a person, not only how they give the class, but many times what happens after the class. How do they live their life? How do they move? How do they interact in the most ordinary moments also? Many times that's where you get to know a person, not only when they are in a shiny seat with the lights on, and I'm like charismatically quoting Sanskrit with a turban and whatever, a cool beard or who knows what. I'm not downplaying any of that. I'm just saying, don't just conclude about someone because of that. It's like, I don't know, like a celebrity consciousness, no? Like when you see an actor in a movie and you think, oh, that's who they are. And you don't know they have the same doubts, suffering, anxieties, or even worse probably than you have. We don't see that part. We over-idealize them just by that particular frame we took. Okay, you are this person. Or like a musician. Okay, you are this. I was a musician in my teenage years. And you see me, you over-idealize people. And then you came to know, oh, he died of an overdose. Oh, he did that. Oh, okay. So it was not everything shiny as it seemed in an album cover or in the clip promotion. No, we are all in this together, in the same struggles and in the same adventure called life. So I think when we are looking, I won't even emphasize too much look for a guru in as much as I will emphasize to look for the disciple inside of you. Because sometimes we are very concerned, where's my guru? Where's my guru? The wind will tell you back, and where's the disciple? And I'm not saying you are not disciple, I'm just saying I have to be willing to be a student. And I'm not saying being a student is something bad or something like excessively disciplinary that you burn out. But it means something to be a disciple. It's not just, it's all about the guru. And I just show up and the guru touches me with a magic wand. There I am. It's a mutual collaboration, in my opinion. It's a reciprocal relationship. It's not just, guru, give me all the grace, I'm just take all the grace, thank you so much, and that's it. No, it's a back and forth. Right? It's a relationship. Both are, in one sense, I would say both should be ideally learning from each other. A genuine guru should be a student, always. A learner. The more advanced you are, the greater your capacity to learn. It's not the more advanced I am, the less someone has something to teach me. The more advanced I am, supposedly, the more I'm learning. So therefore, probably, if the guru is really advanced, the guru will be learning more from the disciple than the disciple from the guru. Because the guru has more capacity to learn. But again, we need to spend time with people to get to know where they are, how they react, and not because we are distrusting them. I think that's also healthy, not to start the relationship like distrusting and waiting for them to be caught red-handed or something, right? Like, let's see, so far good, so far so good, but at any moment catastrophe will happen. I will put some private camera, I will hack his email, check what's going on, some clandestine affairs going on, and it's like, relax, right? If that's going on, maybe you have some unhealed trauma that we need to address. Because if not, everyone will look like a conspiracy theory personified around. So, of course, I'm not denying that there are people in the position of guides that shouldn't be there. But many of them even do not have any bad intention. They just enter into shoes that were too big for them. But of course, many times there is lack of honesty, lack of transparency, lack of accountability, compromising one's ideals for the sake of position and fame and name and complacency and comfort. And so again, we need to take time to get to see where the other person is, but again, to get to see where we are also. Am I ready to be a disciple? Am I ready to be a student? Am I ready to be a student forever? I'm willing to change. Because being a disciple means to be willing to change. Let's begin in simple words. And we have to ask that question honestly. It's not like, yeah, I'm willing to change. Ask deeply. And I'm not saying ask deeply so you hear no. I'm not saying you have to say no. I mean, for sure, at one point we will say no on some level. Not yet there. Stop. But on some other level, there has to be willingness to change, to be transformed, to learn. Because if not, why am I a disciple? Right? And again, to learn and to trust and to allow myself to be transformed by the example and the teachings of someone, I need to trust that person. And I need to trust that person deeply. And for that takes time. To build a relationship, to build a safe space. And even many times after that happens, not always it ends in a happy end story. No? I don't want to bore you with my own tragic tales, but it can happen. You can try to give your life as a disciple to someone for some time, and eventually they feel there is some betrayal in their relationship. They feel there is no proper reciprocity, part of life. No? Like one friend of mine, he's a Christian priest, and he he made kind of another side of the coin. There's a book by Joseph Campbell called Follow Your Bliss. We were talking the other day about, not a book, but a concept he would use, Follow Your Bliss. And this friend of mine wrote a book called Follow Your Heartbreak, right? Like implying many times life breaks our heart. And we need to explore that also. There's some insight coming there. So follow your heartbreak. That was the point, not be masochist and suffer as much as you can. Well, when the heart is broken, means it's broken apart, broken open, break open. So some light can enter through the crack. As Leonard Cohen will say. You know that song from Leonard Cohen? He says, like, pay attention to the crack, that's where the light gets in. So that can happen. So I don't want to sound fatalistic or tragic and say if you have a guru, you will have that situation. No, hopefully not. Hopefully not. But sometimes that happens, and we need to do what to do and how to continue with life, right? You will get to that part if you are reading Radical Personalism chapter on guru and disciple. Issues and tissues between guru and disciple, I call it. By tissues, I refer to layers. And most people who read the book thought tissues were all this paper that you wipe out your tears, which is also makes sense. But yeah, I will say that we need to, in my opinion, it's my opinion what I'm sharing here, but I think ideally it's good that we have time to know the person, time for the person to know us. So the acceptance is mutual and based on some realistic experience of each other. And it may take time to build trust, to be the safe vessel to trust. And this goes beyond guru-disciple. It's for any relationship. We need friends, partners. I mean, you need to build a safe vessel so then one can be vulnerable to one another. And you feel safe enough to do that, not terrified about being honest and sincere with one another. So, yeah. What it takes to feel safe, that only each one of us can reply to that, no? What it takes to trust someone, that takes time for each one of us. And again, sometimes we may have in front of us a very trustworthy person, but we may see that our own capacity for trusting is somehow like traumatized, affected. It has nothing to do with the other person, with the teacher that may be in some case very good, but we may see there's something in my trusting organ that is not working. No? That I end up not trusting anyone, and I end up having like a negative orientation, waiting to be betrayed sooner or later. And sometimes that can be coming from previous, of course, betrayals of abuse. So we need to address that. If that is happening in us, we need to address this on ourselves as my disciple, as part of my disciple project. I want to be a disciple, I want to trust, I want to give, but I'm noticing this excessive distrust in advance when there's nothing to distrust yet. Or I'm noticing cynicism. Like I tend to go to the worst possible scenario, always. And it can happen. I'm not saying it happens to all of us, but sometimes it happens. So I need to work on that myself. I don't know if that helps. I don't know.
Yeah, just there was one devotee. He departed in 1996, Guru Govinda Swami,
Yeah.
and he was there was quite some evidence that he was like a Nitya Siddha devotee. But when I listened to his lectures, he's talking like way above what I'm even interested in, to be honest. Oops, doesn't sound right. But then other gurus who are not on the same level, then it's kind of like, I remember looking at somebody and seeing, catching if they do something that's not quite 100%, a little bit in the modes of nature or something like that. And I'm just thinking that you mentioned that we have to learn to be a disciple. It sounds like that, like I'm looking at them, Whereas
Yeah.
maybe I have to learn myself quite
Yeah.
a few things.
As they say, you point one finger to someone, you have 3 fingers pointing back to you, right? So yeah, they oops, multiply for 3 coming back. So yeah, because there will always probably be someone doing something wrong. So there's always time for entertainment. No, but how much what's the purpose of that pointing, right? It's a compassionate pointing. I'm committed to help that person if they are having trouble. Because if not, it's probably in some cases gossip many times. It's just like talking about how mistaken other people are. And I'm not against pointing to mistakes constructively in a way that I'm committed to help the person, for me to be an example of what I'm criticizing and not escaping from my own thing. So it's tricky, right? So I think it's good to spend some time to see where I am myself actually, to put myself to test, to allow myself to go through situations in life and see what's beyond the surface and what's beyond the assumptions that I may have others. Not to again distrust myself and say I know there is a monster below all that and I'm a bad person. I'm not saying that. Also, not to take for granted I have nothing to change at this point of everyone else outside of me. And regarding the example you gave of Gaur Govinda Maharaj, of course, yes, many abundant examples of his great personality. And as you say, maybe for some devotees it may be too much, too high. No, and I'm not criticizing that at all. I'm just saying, as a disciple, you have to be also honest about where you are and what's the type of guidance you need at your stage. And there are many ways of solving that, of course. Some people may have a guru who is very high and maybe they complement with some guidance from some other Siksha guru more related to their own stage in the journey. Or some others may accept as their initiating guru. To give examples, as someone who may not be as advanced as someone like Gaur Govinda Maharaj, let's say, but still is advanced enough to guide me and sincere enough to warranty that that person will continue advancing and eventually will reach that point of advancement. So because again, sometimes I'm seeing devotees getting a little bit too obsessed with, okay, who is the most advanced guru in the market? And I will get that. And many times in a subtle way, it's more like my guru is the most advanced, which is another way of saying, therefore, please complete this sentence for me. I am the most advanced because I'm connected. And the real question is, how much are you able to take advantage of the connection with that person? No? How much we are just like, how do you say in English? Baffling? No.
Blamed.
Like when you say, I have this, and this is my guru. Boasting. Thank you. So I'm practicing my English with all of you live. Sometimes we boast, yeah, my guru is this, my guru is that. But the point is, okay, great, but what are you doing with that? No. I may say something shocking, but if someone tells me, oh, that person is a Prabhupada disciple, okay, great, but I want to see that person. You follow my point? I mean, of course, being initiated by someone like Prabhupada is an enormous grace. I'm not denying that, but what are you doing with that? No. And I won't enter into details of what some Prabhupada disciples end up doing, which is not very much Prabhupada-like. So my point with this is, it's not enough to be officially initiated with the highest guru on the planet, but it's a part that only you can do. And in some cases, someone may be connected with a guru which is not the topmost. And again, who can measure who is where? But that you feel this person is helping me and guiding me and nourishing me, and we are, and I can feel that person is advanced enough for me, and that person is advancing, I'm advancing. That's it. And I trust that all the remaining advancement that there is waiting for us will come in time. At least for me, that's a more commonsensical, healthy pattern, so to say. I mean, for me, the Phalena Farishite, you judge the tree by its fruit. So are you growing? Are you advancing? Are you nourished? Are you inspired in a realistic way? Whether your guru is topmost, Mahabhagavat, Nityasiddha, whatever, or Madhyam Bhagavat, that's secondary in one sense for me, to be honest. For me, the real thing is how you are doing. You follow my point? Because your guru may be the greatest of the greatest, but are we able to draw, take advantage in the good sense of the term from that? If not, we need to do something, which doesn't mean take a distance from that person. It's just, again, going back to us as a disciple. Am I growing, making progress? Not that as an obsession with growing also, because that's also another conversation, right? Many times we are obsessed with advancing and growing. It can become like an ego competition thing. Who is the more advanced and who is advancing the most? And it has to be smooth, right? The ride has to be on some level smooth. Krishna says in the Gita, Susukam Kartum. That's my contemporary translation of that verse. The ride has to be smooth. Krishna says Susukam Kartum. Bhakti has to be practiced with joy. No? Be a devotee in a way that you keep smiling. Right? And that you keep smiling even when situation is not so smiley. Right? When you are in a very difficult situation, hopefully you still can hold on to things that give you hope and clarity and purpose and meaning. So if we are practicing from that place, that's great. And again, it may take time. We shouldn't feel that. We talk about that, I think was in Germany. But it may take time to accept a particular guru officially, so to say, or find that person that we can feel is inspiring me the most. And again, let's be careful not to limit all this to one person for all my life, because sometimes in our life, different gurus may come and they may serve different purposes at different times. So if we think, okay, I have to find the person, only one for eternity, it may be too much pressure. And if it's this, it's this, and if it doesn't work, everything collapses. And understanding guru as a principle that operates through people, through individuals, but also is a universal principle, Krishna himself in the heart, being a guru as well. Maheshwar, you were raising your hand.
I was just going to ask one, perhaps it's a little presumptuous, but like Tim is not initiated, but what difference does it make if he's initiated or not? In the sense that, I mean, Tim knows the philosophy and theology as well as anyone of us who's been serving Radha Govinda is so sincerely for decades, and he's doing everything that anyone would be initiated with, or if not more. So in what sense is a guru necessary for if all the same stuff is going on? And doesn't that sort of add an extra pressure to so it seems there's a lot of awe and reverence around the guru thing, which kind of to me takes away from the more informal, kind of spontaneous, intimate, humorous exchanges that we want to have in spiritual life. But just to address that point, like, what difference would it make on things part?
Yeah.
Whether initiated or not.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I was about to say something before you asked the question in that connection, so I'm glad that you asked. No, I'm glad that you asked the question, because it reminded me of what I wanted to say. I had forgotten, and it showed that we were vibrating in a similar frequency. One thing before specifically addressing your question is the point that, yeah, it's not like one can be practicing for decades and, oh, if you don't have a guru, you're nowhere. No, because I've heard that sometimes, no, like this, like black and white thinking. which is dangerous in both sides. It's dangerous because those who are not officially initiated are many times shamed or bullied or made to feel they don't belong, they are not yet a devotee, right? All these type of things. Or to those who are already initiated, maybe the problem is equal or even worse, because when you're initiated, you think, okay, now I'm in. So then you become complacent and you just, because I reached the conclusion, which paradoxically the conclusion is called initiation. Initiation means you are initiating something. But for some, initiation feels like a conclusion. Okay, I reached there, nothing else to do. No. Initiation means you are initiating something. So it can be dangerous in both directions if we emphasize this idea like, oh, real bhakti starts when you have a guru. Real bhakti starts when before that, after that. It's too much black and white thinking. Of course, at the same time, let's be honest, the role of guru is mentioned in scripture. We don't want to, make that disappear and say, no, you don't need a guru, nobody needs a guru. When you go to this, no, just read the Bhagavad Gita. I read the Bhagavad Gita tells me about the guru. No, you and the Bhagavatam are okay, but the Bhagavatam tells me about guru. So, Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu, as you asked him in the beginning, no? Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. So, but again, it doesn't, I wouldn't say they're different. It's all about what we understand by guru. That's for me the important thing here, and that's why many times GURU-TATTVA is such a source of headache and confusion and harm, because we understand GURU-TATTVA in a very localized way. Like this person that you get initiated with and is your guru, and that's guru. It's like, no, my gosh, that's so suffocating. That's a dishonor to GURU-TATTVA. Right? Guru, to begin with, Krishna. Guru is Krishna. Krishna is Guru. First member of the parampara, right? Krishna. In every heart. You have Guru in every heart. If you are honest and sincere, you are connected with Guru in your heart. No? Just to begin, the most immediate, and I know that many times, unfortunately, the narrative is like, you don't have capacity to connect with Krishna in your heart. Who are you to understand what's actually Krishna telling you in your heart? You need someone to tell you externally what's Krishna telling you internally. And I'm not saying at times we need that. Of course, at times we may be a mess internally and we don't have a clear picture. But I wouldn't say to the extreme of you can never know, because that's very disempowering, and that can create a toxic codependence in which you can, if I tell you, you can only know what's actually Krishna telling you, and you are like codependent basically. I don't know what to think, how to feel unless that individual called my guru tells me, and you become like an infant forever. Right? Prabhupada say, I want my disciples to be independently thoughtful people. He didn't say, I want my disciples to be eternally infant, codependent children. He said, I want all of them to be spiritual masters. So I'm saying all this in the context of Guru being universal in so many places. Krishna in the heart, different devotees. Again, of course, I don't know Team's life in this case, and I don't want to sound we are all now analyzing Team's case. Because it's not only your case. I know, for example, recently I've been to New Zealand. Recently, almost a year ago, but recently, from eternity's perspective. And I met a devotee who lives in the temple and in the community for the last, I think, 40-something years. She's not initiated. And someone asked her, like, why you're not initiated? The 6 months passed already. And she said, I haven't found my guru yet. As simple as that. In terms of someone who will, it's not that she's not connected with guru, but in terms of someone giving initiation. She said, I haven't found it. Not as any tragedy, just like I'm open, but it has not felt like yet. So, but I'm told she's the most committed member of the whole community. Right? And everyone else is initiated, right? So again, it comes with thing, right? Who is better positioned? At the end of the day, you cannot label people according who are initiated, who are not, who are in, who are out. So I would say the principle of guru is there. Again, it's encouraging the heart. Ultimately, Bhagavatam says it's 24 gurus. They are everywhere, right? Bumblebee, earth, moon, wind. But at the same time, I think we all agree it's nice and healthy when we have someone in our lives that we feel is inspiring us and guiding us and we can trust. And again, maybe some of you may tell me, yeah, Maharaj, sounds nice, but still I haven't found that person. It's okay. But don't lose hope and end up to the point of we don't need that and let's eliminate that part. Why? No. But also not to force us to feel until and unless I find that person, I'm nowhere. No, nobody's saying that. Whomever is sincerely practicing, chanting, serving, Krishna's mercy is coming in one's heart, and all the arrangements are being made for one to eventually contact sadhus that may touch our heart. May take years, weeks, months, lifetimes for some people. For me, it's not a concern, to be honest, like the time frame, because again, we're not here on a run who gets it first and it has to be in this lifetime. Why? Right. So and regarding what you were mentioning also, Maheshwar, about the awe and reverence with the guru, of course there are different flavors, and there are different gurus and there are different people, and I personally agree with you. I personally am not someone who likes too much awe and reverence, or not to say maybe who likes zero awe and reverence. In the sense of affection and intimacy is the currency, ideally for us. We want to enter into a world of affection, intimacy, trust. And Rupa Goswami says, Vishrambena Guru Seva. The relationship with the Guru should be one of Vishramba, which means intimate trust and friendship. Vishramba is the main element in Sakya Bhav, in our tradition. Sakya Bhav is friendship. Vishramba means like that type of very intimate trust that you have with a very intimate friend. Still, of course, Guru is Guru, and we will have a respect and honoring, but still there is some sweet sense of friendship and intimacy, which of course may not be there after 5 seconds of meeting the person. Is the fruit of developing that relationship. But I think, in my opinion, again, all this is Swami Padmanabha's opinion, just in case, but I'm trying to base that on Shastra, of course. But ideally, a relationship with the teacher should be one of affection and trust and intimacy, not of fear and nervousness and intimidation and distance and, okay, their Gurudev is coming, time to be in anxiety now. Right? No, that's, I mean, your dearest friend is coming, so to say. That's how we should feel. Like, oh, this dear friend is coming that I love so much. And it's not that I will treat the person disrespectfully because of that, on the contrary. So I think personally it's very, very important. And again, I know not everyone may agree with this one, but for me, we are in general in the Gaudiya Vaishnava community, not everywhere, but in general, there's still lots of hierarchy in the guru disciple relationship, in my opinion. A little bit too pyramidal, and that can be in time complicated for the disciple, but for the guru as well. Because if you as a guru become too isolated on the top of the mountain and it's just you by yourself and everyone else is down saying Ki Jai, that's dangerous. No? You lose touch with peers, you lose touch with feedback, you don't have mirroring, constructive criticism, and everyone is just over-idealizing probably you and worshipping you. I mean, unless you are very, 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 and I could be 1 hour saying very advanced and pure person that can handle that, it may start to get into your nerves and make it. And I've had some personal experience of that, so that it can get really complicated. So I think it's safe for both guru and disciple to keep it not like exactly like peers, but a type of intimacy and affection and human interaction. In one sense, we are humans also. It's not like a guru is no longer a human. No, be careful. We don't want to dehumanize a guru, right? But by over idealizing someone, you are dehumanizing that person. That's why I try to tell people when I see that they start to over idealize me, and I don't put myself as a role of a guru, but I know that some people will see me as such, and I cannot forbid them. But when over idealization starts to come, it's like, wait a minute, right there, because you are dehumanizing me by doing that. You're putting me too much on a pedestal, and I know in the beginning it's unavoidable. Some people in the beginning will, again, rock star, celebrity consciousness. You are a pure devotee coming from Golok Vrindavan. I heard people telling me that stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not. It's not that I'm having a clandestine dark life either, but you're just over idealizing me. So the real question is why you need to over idealize. Why? It's because only your faith can be built on something absolutely perfect in every sense. What if I show you some imperfection in something? What will happen to your faith? It's unconditional or it's conditional? I only love you as long as you are perfect. That's a very immature type of faith. That's not very deep. Deep faith is, despite imperfection, I love you. Of course, given that there's nothing extremely dysfunctional there. Like once I remember one devotee told me, I was with my guru in a class, and my guru is perfect and knows everything. He was telling me he doesn't make any mistake, and I was like already like, okay, it sounds like a little bit too much, right? He knows everything. He's omniscient. Okay, it sounds like he's talking about Krishna, but no, it was his guru, right? And once he was given a class and he forgot one verse. And he asked me about that verse. And he told me, but I knew he was testing me because he could never forget one verse. And it was interesting because for many people witnessing that, many were like, yes, you have such a strong faith in your guru. And I was in my mind like, that's such weak faith. Without judging the person, but that's a symptom of weak faith. You cannot accept that your guru forgot a verse, because you are building your faith of having your guru being absolutely perfect in everything. The slightest imperfection, forgetting a verse, will make your whole edifice crumble. Which is okay, there are levels of faith. Kanishta means weak faith. We can have weak faith, but we should be careful not to promote that weak faith as strong faith. Many times fanaticism, it presents itself outside like very strong faith. You're just being fundamentalist. So yeah, guru can forget a verse, it's okay. Guru can engage in mild mistakes. There are grave mistakes that's not supposed to happen, but there are mild mistakes that everyone will commit. Forgetting a verse, it's okay. Someone once asked Srila Prabhupada, who is the Yuga avatar for Dwapara Yuga? Prabhupada say, I don't know. Next question. Right? That's it. I'm more inspired by witnessing someone like him saying, I don't know, that by someone like, I have to have the answers to every question always. I have to be perfect in every way. So, anyhow, some thoughts in terms of also, trying to keep relationships as normal as possible. Normal. No, it's a good word, normal. It's not bad.
Some of the people that you've had on your podcast, like Richard Rohr,
Okay.
people like that, they're very, very elevated, God conscious people, but they don't have people like worshipping them and do like all the formality that we have in body of Vaishnavism. So why why do we have that in Gaudiya Vaishnavism? I mean, if a guru is, if it's something more than a teacher, okay, there's some other aspect there, but if you just have a teacher, like if you're taking guidance off someone, a spiritual mentor or something like that in other religions and Christian groups, it doesn't require that initiation and all the formality and all of that. So is there something different going on in Gaudiya Vaishnavism which marks it out as something special, this guru disciple relationship or initiation is required in all the formality of that? Why exactly? I'm asking, like, why exactly is it there?
What's the question behind the question?
Yeah.
Maybe we should ask Richard Rohr about this and see what he says. Yeah, I get your point. I think so. I will say that ideally the relationship between guru and disciple should not be one of formality. There may be some formality in terms of the right. We have talked about this with devotees many times, so I'm glad that this is a topic that counts and that there is space to talk. Everyone, we can talk about anything ideally. I won't describe the relationship guru-disciple as a formality, but as something very substantial and deep. There may be some formalities accompanying a particular ceremony of this, but also for me, the formality, if understood properly, is always pointing to something essential. Well, like to give you an example, if that's what if I'm understanding correctly what you mean by formality. Okay, the fire sacrifice in the initiation, is that a formality? I won't say so. I mean, we can take all that very formally, but we could take it very deeply. Like all rituals in ancient traditions, ancient cultures have deep symbolic meaning. So the fire, what the fire represents, and what the grain of rice entering and the swaha, it's all many times very archetypal, very symbolic. It's like it's speaking about entering into the fire of introspection, right? In the beginning of the creation, Brahma heard the word tapas. Tapas means fire. And he looked inside, he heard fire, he closed his eyes and became introspective. So this fire here is representing that, and I'm throwing the rice, because I cannot throw myself into the fire literally, maybe too much. But that grain of rice represents me, swaha. I'm entering into a life of introspection, of self-study. So again, if we are able to relate to all that, the whole ceremony is no longer formality, but it's a very deep contemplation. Now, in connection to guru-disciple relationship, of course, it's not just something in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, it's throughout different traditions that we may relate to the Sanatana Dharma tradition. I wouldn't say there is no guru-disciple notion in tradition like Christianity. I would say that many people see people like Richard Rohr as they won't use the word guru, but they will say my teacher, my mentor, my elder, my guide. I mean, I don't know, not only know Richard Rohr, but know many people around him who refer to him as such. And they may not use the word guru. They use all the other words. Maybe we may need to stop using the word guru a little bit and use the other words sometimes. So the word guru, in the sense, I have nothing against the word guru, but sometimes it carries some assumptions, intergenerational assumptions. And I say guru, and someone's like, oof, no? Trigger, like I'm putting like electricity or something, like guru, no? Words, no? If I say apparat, no? Right? No? Religious PTSD coming to the surface. Like, these words, like we may have like received them in a certain way that is not very healing, to say the least. So maybe instead of guru, you can say mentor, guide, teacher, because in principle it's the same thing. Of course, we will say, I won't say so much that we worship the guru as we try to follow the guru. And Richard Rohr may say something similar, since we are talking about him with Jesus. He will say, Jesus never said worship me. He said follow me. but then he put the case, but most people ended up worshiping him because that's easier than following him. So we may end up doing the same with the guru, worshiping, doing a big pomp of formality, because that's way easier than actually having to follow the footsteps of someone like Srila Prabhupada. It's like that level of fearlessness. No, thank you. Bring me a big plate of arti, big garland. I will offer that to Prabhupada. And everyone will see me doing that, so to say. But having to embody his level of surrender and vulnerability in prayer and fearlessness, and oh, that's another thing. Yeah, but that's the whole purpose of having connection with the Guru. So, and it's a gradual process, of course, not for anyone to feel I have to do it in a weekend. So relationship with Guru is more, again, it's not formality. At the same time, it's not it's not worship. And if we worship something, is how Krishna manifests himself through that particular person. So we are worshiping not the individual separate from the revelation that comes through the individual. If we want to speak about worshiping the Guru, which again, I'm not against using that term either, but when we worship the Guru, we have to do it with a proper understanding that I'm not worshiping this person separate from the living current of Guru Parampara that is coming through the person. I'm grateful to the individual, but I'm worshiping the revelation that is coming. If that individual will stop behaving as they are doing properly, I wouldn't be worshiping that person. But many times we end up worshiping the individual separate from the current, and that becomes personality cult. That's not worship of Sri Guru. Sri Guru is first and foremost a department of revelation, an agency. And there's the agent that is representing the agency. But we can separate the two. If I worship the agent and lose sight of the agency that the agent is representing, that becomes idolatry. So that's why we need to have proper understanding of what's Guru. Because if we hyper-localize it in one individual, that's not Guru. If we just overpraise someone without out of context, if we take Prabhupada outside of the parampara, do you think Prabhupada is happy with that? No, just Prabhupada, nobody after him, nobody before him. You isolate Prabhupada in a bubble, so to say. That's not something that will make Prabhupada happy to begin with. So I don't know if I'm addressing any of the points.
Thank you.
Yes. What's your name?
Vaishnavi.
Vaishnavi.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Jai. Is it okay if I don't mean to change the subject, but I had a question about surrender.
Yeah.
And it seems sometimes, I guess I can just speak from, what I'm going through, but like this idea of surrender, just really wanting to just give everything. And then somehow or other, life happens. And then I'm being stopped from that, externally speaking, like, family things, financial, this, that, and then often I would get really frustrated, but I'm like, maybe surrender is just accepting that I can't surrender the way I want to surrender. I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, if you could maybe shed some light.
Yeah. Speaking about fire and swaha. Surrender. That's surrender. That's a fire.
Are there flies stuck in there, or am I imagining it? No, sorry.
Flies, hopefully not.
Sorry.
It will be burned.
I thought he was stuck in there.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
Surrender, yeah. Well, something that I always like to say to me first is surrender is not a one-time act. No? Like initiation is not a one-time act either. Many times we have this notion of things being a one-time act. I do it it's done. What's next? I'm initiated now, but initiation is a process. Connecting the two, initiation and surrender, right? Chaitanya Charitamrita said, Diksha Kale Bhakta Kare Atma Samarpana. At the time of initiation, you made of your whole being a complete offering unto Krishna. And they're like, oops, that's Diksha? Diksha Kare Bhakta Atma Sama Arpana. A complete offering of all my faculties. Oh, then probably I never got initiated yet, because I'm still in the process of offering all my faculties. So the idea is it's not that you have not been initiated, it's just that initiation is a process. It starts at one moment officially, but it unfolds. It's not like finish. Initiation is initiating, right? So the same with surrender. Surrender is not like, oh, yesterday I was not surrendered, today I'm fully surrendered. It doesn't happen that way. It's a gradual offering. And again, surrender, the problem not with surrender, but with us, for us, is that sometimes we have ideas of what it means to surrender, and we get stuck just thinking this is surrender, and only this is surrender. So I appreciate in your question, you are contemplating, okay, maybe surrender is not what I think it was. No? Because, okay, I'm trying to surrender, trying to give my time and my energy in this particular direction, but now you gave examples, what finances or family. So is that an obstacle to surrender, or is that something that comes to my life to facilitate my surrender? Right? Because what surrender, at the end of the day, surrendering my false self of identity and to see everything in connection to Krishna as a service to Krishna. So instead of thinking, oh, my family, to give an example, because that's sometimes, unfortunately, that's a classic one in our circle. Family gets in the way, right? Yeah, sometimes it's inferior than being.
It's Maya.
It's inferior in Maya rather than being a free monk, very advanced and elevated, doing whatever, fully surrendered. Well, and of course, I'm being sarcastic here. Please get that in context.
Maybe I should say fun dynamics.
Yeah,
Maybe that would.
they're always no, it's fine. Every family has dynamics. No problem. Lots of dynamics, and there are dynamics everywhere. I'm a sannyasi, so I don't have a family, but I've lived in community 20 years, and I can tell you there are family dynamics. And it's okay. I'm not complaining about that. I'm not saying that's wrong. On the contrary, I will say all that is a catalyst for surrender. Because at the end of the day, family is not a problem. Finances are not a problem. All that is energy of Krishna ultimately coming to my life. So how much, if I find my family an obstacle, then the real question is why I'm finding my family an obstacle. Or if I find finances, okay, I have to work to get some money to pay the rent. Let's be ground to earth. Oh, that's an obstacle to my surrender. Why? What's our idea of surrender that makes us think that all these other things are an obstacle? And being responsible with your family, with yourself, with your finances help you to grow as a mature adult human being, take responsibility. And taking care of you and your family, it can be all service to Krishna also. And again, I'm saying all this because many times the root misconception is this illusory separation between spiritual life and material life. So spiritual life means I go to the temple on Sunday or chant my rounds, read my book, do my donation. Material life means everything else. House, family, work, finances. And that's an illusion we are choosing to create. That's not true. Family life, finances, temple, Srimad Bhagavatam, japa, husband, baby, all of that can be one and the same thing. That we choose to put them in two different compartments, your choice, your problem. So I like to say, not my circus, not my monkeys, as they say in US. But if you choose them to make them part of your circus, that's your problem. So I think surrender is also surrendering our sense of, okay, I'm a servant of Krishna. My family is there for me to serve them. And they are agents of Krishna coming to my life. I'm there to serve them. No? I think Jamuna thinks like that with her baby, hopefully. Some days may be more difficult, we may forget, but we have been talking the other day, and I know that's theirs. And they were sharing with me, Sanat and Jamuna, very many insights they were having as parents with their baby. I was like, wow, that's an insight. That's a great, wow, that's another great one. So it's not like, oh, this baby is such an obstacle. In one sense, it's, wow, this baby is such a portal, right? I'm finding, so it's all about how we may need to recalibrate our understanding, because if we start, of course, with a negative assumption, this is negative, this is Maya, this is inferior, this is whatever, probably I will see everything else that happened after that as a confirmation of my original prejudice. That happens, right? If I came today here thinking this meeting will be horrible and everyone else coming will be very unattractive to me, it won't be interesting at all. Probably I will feel that, even though that's not the case, but I'm perpetrating a cycle in my own mind. So if we start finances, family, this, that, again, surrender is this, families goes in another direction, we may reinforce that idea every day. And we are totally convinced, and we may be able to convince others about that and create a whole parampara of people convinced about that. And sometimes we need to break those disciplic successions. No, because sometimes I mentioned in radical personalism, sometimes in parampara, ideally, revelation is passed down, but sometimes unresolved trauma is passed down in the name of parampara. And we end up receiving something that was not healed by the person who gave us and before, and we receive that as this is the ultimate truth, and it's not. So yeah, family, finances, especially all those situations that we may find challenging or we may still label as ordinary, mundane, especially there we have to surrender. Especially, no, because they invite us to recalibrate our vision. How can I see Krishna here? How can I be of service here? How can I integrate all this into the equation of bhakti? And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But surrender takes different shapes. No. Surrender is, again, can take so many. The important. I mean, if we go to there are these 6 symptoms of surrender. We don't have time now to go through each one of them. We need a separate visit to Ireland. So looking forward to that, but not today. I'm leaving to England tomorrow, so no time for that now. But the essence of surrender, that, for example, Jiva Goswami highlights from these 6 symptoms is Goptritve Varanam, which means to accept that Krishna is maintaining me. So we have to exercise that internally, trusting Krishna's accepting and being maintained by God's mercy. Rakshishati Vishwaso, to trust Krishna will protect me. As you can see, these main symptoms of surrender have nothing to do with external circumstances. Has nothing to do, am I concerned with finances, I'm in family or not? It's just about how you're navigating through whatever you're navigating. As a monk, as a grihasta, as a whatever, that's secondary. But surrender has more to do with entering into that inner space of being maintained and being protected and trusting that. And many times the best moments to enter into that space is when things are difficult on the outside or things are challenging. So we have to take advantage of that. So yeah, I wouldn't put these things in different compartments. But we can surrender through everything, through family, through finances, through effort, through anything, through chanting my rounds as well, through anything. If you are sincere about surrender, there's nothing that can stop your surrender. Any circumstance will prove a vessel for surrender, so to say. And it's a healthy question. Okay, how can I surrender to Krishna through my financial struggle? How can I surrender to Krishna through my family dynamics? How can I see him more present? What do I have to be to transform in me? All that is surrender to Krishna, right? Also, like, okay, if I know, okay, I'm having trouble with my whatever mother-in-law. I mean, I don't have a mother-in-law, but I'm giving just an example. With my this, with my that, I'm triggered by my brother or with my mom. Okay, what needs to be healed there? What needs to be addressed there? That's also part of surrendering, of preparing me as a wholesome offering for Krishna. I want to offer myself to Krishna again. Atma Samarpana. I want to offer all my faculties, body, mind, psychology, emotions. I want to be as wholesome as I can to surrender more and more. So again, sometimes healing my relationships, my family dynamics is a form of surrender. It's not just chant 16 rounds, do the puja entirely, wake up for Mongol Arti and give a good donation at the end of the month or something. That's surrender.
Don't believe
Yeah. Yeah, well, that can be an escape actually for the real surrender. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying we can use all that as an excuse not to actually surrender. Surrender is something very intimate, very internal. It's not according to what you are doing outside. Nobody can measure externally if anyone's surrendered. It's upon examining what's vibrating, pulsing in my heart of hearts. And again, externally, you can be changing your baby's diapers. So it looks very ordinary externally. But what may be happening internally, that's... Again, go to Golok Vrindavan. No? Take a look at Yashoda, maybe running after Krishna with a stick. That doesn't look like surrender. That's like ordinary family dynamics or something. But surrender is increasing at every moment there. So how can my surrender can increase at every moment in any circumstance? I don't need to wait for some extraordinary event to surrender. How every moment invites me to surrender. This particular moment now we are sharing. How am I invited to surrender in this moment? Next moment, doing whatever. Cooking, cleaning the bath, taking a shower, chanting, praying. There's always an invitation to some form of surrender, of offering myself. There are no limitations to that. We are putting the limitations. We are so expert at, at limiting ourselves. But you can attain all perfection by offering Krishna a flower petal in 1 millisecond. Krishna is not putting any obstacles to that. So gradually getting there. But yeah, please, if you still have any of that misconception, family life is inferior, it's a problem, it's the dark well of whatever, you are not allowed to leave this room without having cleansed that from your mind, please. That's not it. I mean, we want in the ultimate reality to serve in Golok Vrindavan. There are all grihastas there. There are no sannyasis. There are no monks. So I better not get much attached to this effort. I will have to surrender this at one point. Right? At the gates of Golok Vrindavan, like no sannyas allowed here. All the monks will mess up the whole lila. So. Yeah. I don't know if that helps.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, very good, very good.
something else in that connection that you needed to share or ask or?
No, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and like I'm not seeing it in this black and white thing, like family is mine.
No, I was not saying you were saying like that, just.
I don't quite relate to that part, but it's just what I'm talking about is more like you said, things that are too triggering and then it feels too much, that then, you can't chant and you can't, or you can't finish it, like it just feels like, you want to do, but then like your body is just exhausted. You can't.
Yeah.
Things like that. And it's like, when am I ever?
No, don't say sorry, please.
Okay.
That's part of surrender also, to be honest and vulnerable. Thank you. And you are not alone. You are not alone in that experience, just in case.
Lamenting like that, that's surrender. I seen a small clip of Guru Maharaj. He was nearly leaving his body, and he was saying, "Oh, you would think I would be fully surrendered to God, and I'm not." And then he cried. So that
Yeah.
humility.
Yeah, I would say the very fact that you are no, don't say sorry. Why sorry? Please. We have to normalize crying in Sangha. That's a natural expression of the journey. And again, we are all going through sooner or later to different similar chapters, right? It's not a problem. No, again, it's not, no, this is wrong. There's something bad going on. This shouldn't be happening. No, it's normal. We are all going through that. I was going to say that the fact that you are concerned about your surrender, that in itself is, as you were saying, it's a symptom of someone who is surrendered. So again, there are no limits to how much we can surrender. So we can always surrender a little bit more and more. And that's why someone like Srila Puri Maharaj will say, I'm not surrendered yet, though we may humbly disagree with him. Yes. But he also knows that there are no limits to surrender. So as much as he surrendered, we can always surrender more and more. And that creates its own unique humility. And that happens for all of us in different stages of our journey. And we may feel, okay, I could surrender more, I'm not surrendering. And it's okay, it's healthy to feel that, but also in a way that it's not, it doesn't become a neurosis, right? It doesn't become like a source of discouragement and like, I'm not able to do this and I'm not able to do that. If one truly wants to serve Krishna, give our lives in its genuine way, that's the most important thing. Then which form that takes on any given day according to the need of the moment, that's something else, right? Like like the example I gave the other day of Srila Prabhupada, no? Like he was walking and he saw a disciple of him crying, and he asked, like, why you're crying? And he just said, because I'm not able to finish my 16 rounds. And Prabhupada said, but you just had a baby, right? He went to the common sense side. I said, yes. Like implying, yes, but I have to check. And he said, he's your rounds now. No, like making the point, he's not proposing stop chanting. He's just saying there are chapters of life, necessities of life, and you can surrender through all of them. Now, at one point, you will be able to surrender with full time for your sadhana, your study, and your pilgrimage to a holy site. And another day, the surrender is family dynamics and and complex stuff to solve in our humanity. But at the end of the day, it's all part of the same thing. So I think it's very important to connect all this. No? Like I like to say, when Mahaprabhu gives us his most important instruction on chanting, which for us is very important chant in the name of Krishna. And he gives this most important instruction to third verse of Shikshastakam Trinada Pisunichena Tadora Pisakishnu Namani Namanadina Kirtaniya Sadhari. If you pay attention to that verse, it's all about relationships. All those virtues, humility, tolerance, forgiveness, respect, compassion, it's all to be worked on in our relations. It's not about what happens while we are chanting. I mean, somehow, but mostly it's how you embody all that when you stop chanting. So he's making a clear connection between chanting, sadhana practice, and how your relationships. So we shouldn't feel, oh, this relationship is taking me this energy that gets in the way of my chanting. No, one thing and the other are interconnected. Because chanting is developing my relationship with Krishna. And many times, and that has to be reflected in how I develop my relationship with everyone else. So they are not entirely separate projects. If I want to love Krishna, I need to learn to love everyone else, which is hard work. So sometimes I need to spend some time there, and that's part of my learning to love Krishna. It's not like, again, two different compartments.
And she does that. She's so embarrassingly loving with everyone. She's so good at that.
Yeah. Okay. Keshimardan says so. I cannot argue against that.
That's my
Yeah. I can only say something in a very general way because, of course, we are meeting for the very first time in this lifetime. So I try always to be careful not to speak more about someone that I don't know, basically. But of course, at the same time, though I don't know you, I know certain dynamics that we all go through, like the ones you are sharing. So I think it's good that we can, learn to normalize that a little bit as part of the journey, and not as something that shouldn't be happening and that's getting in the way of, but something that is inviting me to.
No, I really appreciate, because what you're speaking of is integration.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where I need to be. And interestingly enough, I was over at Sukada's, and she said, just sit down before you leave after her one night's healing. So I picked up Bhagavad Gita. I said, Krishna, what's your message? And it was in the 9th chapter, and he said that I am both the material and the spiritual, and they're all in me.
Yeah.
I was like, integrate.
Yeah.
This material energy is Krishna.
Yeah.
I see that,
Yeah.
like you said, it's always a process.
Yeah.
It's always.
Yeah. And material energy, let's not forget, that's a whole separate lecture. But material energy is not a bad energy. It's not someone against us. It's Maya Shakti, is Vaishnavi serving Bhagavan. It's an energy serving her source. So it's not like there's someone against me here that tries to make it hard for me. So no, it's all trying to facilitate something, but still we may feel some obstacle, something, but probably it's maybe something in me that needs to surrender. So exploring that with curiosity, not with shame or with torturing us, but material energy is it's not again like Satan or a devil trying to make us fall or anything. It's a Vaishnavi. So I appreciate that Krishna revealed that particular verse to you today from the Gita. I love the word integration. Those who know me, they will know that I use that word a lot. I use that word to replace the word transcendence. Because for us, many times transcendence sounds like going somewhere else and rejecting all this stuff so we can get there. And for me, all that is escapism. Real transcendence is integration, where I no longer need to reject anything. I just need to know how to integrate everything with Krishna in the center. That's real transcendence. I no longer need to run away from anything because everything has its place in the bigger picture. It's a gradual process to learn to find a place for everything. Yeah. Thank you for your sharing. Okay, I don't want to overextend myself because it's Tuesday, so it's a weekday. Some of you may be working. We have been sharing quite some time, so maybe you're okay, we can put the sharing to rest for today. I'm looking forward to continue sharing with you somehow or other, three-dimensional space, online, one way or another. Keep in touch, and thank you so much for inviting me to Ireland, inviting me here today, team, family, and everyone else. Sukada the other day to your place, so today Amanda Vikram to your place, and each one of you inviting me to your hearts by being present today, open, sharing. It's always very nourishing and inspiring for me also, right? Hopefully, if you got some inspiration, glad, but I want my part as well. And Krishna is very merciful. He always gives the gift of meeting new beautiful souls like each one of you. So thank you so much for that. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Sadhu Sangha ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanand jai, Vancha Kalpataru Vishya Kasandubhya Vajra Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo